Around 5 years ago, I took my girlfriend Abby to the zoo. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't dislike the zoo, but I also don't love it. It's always felt a little weird to me, watching all those animals in cages. Still, it didn't bother me enough not to go, especially when Abby was excited about it. We both had a Thursday off from work and decided it would be fun to visit the zoo on a less busy day. As we pulled into the zoo parking lot at 9 a.m., our plan seemed to have worked. The place was at least half as busy as usual. We got out of the car, put on some sunscreen, and made sure our snacks were packed. Abby squealed in excitement at the entrance sign, making me smile. I was there because I knew it would make her happy. If only I knew what horrors awaited us that day. If you're reading this, Abby, I'm so sorry. I hope you can forgive me one day. We walked up to the gate, Abby holding my hand and resisting the urge to skip. As we stood in line for tickets, we chatted about which animals to see first. Next called a voice from the farthest booth, sounding unusually cheery. As we approached the ticket booth, I was fumbling with my wallet and not paying full attention. When I finally looked up to apologize for taking so long, I did a double take. The employee was odd. His mouth was slightly too wide, his teeth unnaturally white and perfect, and his eyes looked like marbles. His neck seemed just barely too long, and his forearms were oddly short. "No problem, sir." "Take your time," the man said as Abby handed over her card. "Wonderful. Let's get you 2 tickets so the fun can begin." His voice was way too happy, almost robotic, like a kid's cartoon character. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly off. "Oh, silly me. I almost forgot to mention something important," he continued, cringing. "The park is no longer taking credit cards beyond this point. You are required to click on the link in your email to link your card to our brand new Zoo Wallet feature. Much more convenient." I wanted to refuse, but Abby looked anxious, so I agreed. We set up the Zoo Wallet feature reluctantly. "All right, you crazy kids, you are all set. Don't forget to see the seal show at 12:15, the employee said, his smile stretching wider. Thank you," I said, rushing to leave. Inside the entrance, we found a gift shop, a map, a snack shack, and some benches. Abby pulled me towards the penguins, but they weren't out. She quickly moved on to the elephants, which were also missing. We decided to get ice cream and ask an employee about the animals. As we approached the ice cream stand, Abby gasped and pulled me away. "That guy looks just like the ticket guy." "Not exactly, but the same mouth, eyes, and arms." "Abby, they're probably related." "Calm down. Let's just keep walking around," I reassured her. The first animals we saw were the monkeys and apes. The chimps, orangutans, and baboons were there, but the capuchins and gorillas were missing. The animals we saw weren't acting right, though. Abby left to find a bathroom, and I took a closer look. The orangutans looked sick. One of them had stitches on its side, and the sight made my stomach turn. When Abby returned, we headed for the tigers. As we approached, we saw what appeared to be tigers, but soon realized they were people painted to look like tigers, horribly modified. Panic set in, and people started running for the exits. Our phones were dead, likely from the link we clicked earlier. At the gate, an employee blocked our way, looking as uncanny as the others. "Hello, everyone. Aren't we all having fun? Please, stay for the seal show at 12:15. He forced us to follow him. On the way to the seal show, we passed more horrifying sights. People modified to look like bears, deer, and other animals. At the seal show, the employees forced us to watch as they threw duct-taped people into a pool, pretending they were seals. After the show, only about 15 of us remained. The employees escorted us to the exit. I whispered to Abby, "I'm so sorry, but I have to do this." I hid in some bushes, waiting for the group to pass. Once alone, I searched the zoo, hoping to find and help others. I found someone in the zebra enclosure, horribly modified but still able to speak. He had an ID badge that read Ken. I realized I couldn't save him and decided to get out and call for help. I jumped over a wall and ran to a gas station to call 911. Later, I went to Abby's house and was relieved to find out she was safe but didn't want to see me. The next day I returned to the zoo. Everything seemed normal. New employees were working, unaware of the horrors that took place. The animals were back, and the zoo was bustling. I asked an employee about what happened to the previous staff, but she didn't know. I left, haunted by the events and wondering how such horrors could be covered up so quickly. Years have passed since that horrifying day at the zoo. Abby and I eventually drifted apart, the trauma of that experience casting a shadow over our relationship. I never stopped thinking about what I saw and what really happened at that zoo. I started researching, trying to find any information about strange occurrences or disappearances linked to that place. Every lead I followed ended in a dead end. The zoo remained open, a popular family destination with no indication of the nightmare it had hidden. One night I received an email from an unknown sender. The subject line read, "You know the truth." Help us attached was a video file. I hesitated but clicked to watch. The video showed a dark, sterile room filled with cages and operating tables. The people in the cages were the ones I'd seen modified into animals, including Ken. The camera panned to a figure in a lab coat, their face obscured. They spoke directly to the camera, their voice distorted. "We know you were there. We need your help to expose them. They're not human. They've infiltrated more places than you can imagine. Find us." The video ended with coordinates to a location in the middle of nowhere. I was terrified but also felt a strange sense of duty. I knew I had to go. I packed a bag and set out for the coordinates, driving for hours into the night. I arrived at an abandoned building, its windows boarded up and graffiti covering the walls. I entered cautiously, my flashlight revealing the remnants of what seemed to be an old medical facility. In the basement, I found a group of people huddled together. They looked weary but determined. One of them stepped forward, a woman with a scar running down her face. "You're the one from the zoo," she said. "We've been waiting for you." They explained that the zoo employees were part of an ancient race that had been secretly taking over human institutions. The modifications were part of their experiments to perfect their ability to mimic humans. The zoo was just one of many facilities they controlled. We spent the next few days planning our next move. We needed to gather evidence and expose the truth to the world. As we prepared, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. One night, our hideout was raided. The not-quite-human employees burst in, capturing most of us. I barely escaped, running into the woods and hiding until dawn. I knew I couldn't go back. I was alone again, but I had to keep fighting. I started traveling, sharing my story with anyone who would listen, trying to find others who had encountered these creatures. Everywhere I went, I left messages and clues, hoping to connect with more survivors. The road ahead was uncertain, but I had a purpose. If you're reading this, know that the zoo is just the beginning. They're everywhere, hiding in plain sight. Stay vigilant, and if you ever find yourself at that zoo, turn around and run. Trust no one. The employees at the zoo are not human.